Hi friends, as part of the Fight Night Collection event, I think Pathfinder's Town Takeover will be a lot of fun, and I really like that there's a cool boxing theme. However, it means you'll need to know exactly how to use your melee effectively to win fights. So I thought I'd put together this video on how to win boxing matches in Apex Legends. I will look at some short and simple tips to help you win more boxing matches in Apex Legends, and this should help you when you enter the ring in Pathfinder's Town Takeover. Before I start, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're on a mission to reach 10k subs by the end of the year, and we could do with your help. So in any boxing or melee fight, you need to be able to use your melee attack effectively. In the Pathfinder Town Takeover, you'll have your own boxing ring, and your enemies won't be able to use weapons or abilities. Whether you have an heirloom or not, the melee attack is all you have. Now, your melee attack will do 30 damage. Again, it doesn't matter if you've got an heirloom or not, the damage is the same. Also, it doesn't matter if you hit them in the head, or in the legs, or in the body, it's always just standard 30 damage. This means it'll take 4 punches to down someone in the Pathfinder boxing ring. And if that person has a shield, depending on what level that shield is, it could take you between 5 and 9 punches to down someone. There are 3 types of melee attack. There's the standard punch, or strike if you have an heirloom, and you do this simply by standing up straight and using your melee button. We then have the jump melee attack, which is basically a kick. You simply do this by jumping and pressing your melee button. And then there's the uppercut. To do this one, you simply crouch down and press the melee button, and this allows you to uppercut your opponent. You can combine these with a slide as well, but I'll talk a bit more about that in just a second, when I give you some tips and strategies on how to win more melee fights. First, let me show you some analysis that I did to try and understand which of these melee moves is more effective. I looked at the speed of each move in slow motion, and I think when you look, it's clear that the kick, punch and uppercut actually have the same timing, and while the punch and uppercut have a slightly longer animation than the kick, the jump that you need to do to get the kick going actually means each one of these have the same total time to attack. The same is true if you also do multiple in a row. For example, if you do 5 punches, kicks or uppercuts in a row, you can still see they have exactly the same time. Now I think in earlier seasons the kick was a little faster than the standard punch, but it seems over time Respawn have evened out the time of each melee attack, and now with the animations and the jump sequences, they all take the exact same amount of time. Now I am using Octane in the demo for each of these moves, as you can see, and if you're wondering if any other legend would be faster, I had the same thought, and I tested it out with Lifeline, Octane and Gibraltar, just to see if low profile or fortified does make a difference in the time it takes to melee. But as you can see, there is no difference. Whether you're using a bigger legend like Gibraltar or a smaller legend like Lifeline, they all have the same time to melee. And the same is true for punches, kicks and uppercuts. So when it comes to the actual game mechanics, for using each melee attack, there isn't really a time difference. This means we need to think about strategy and tips for using each to try and help you win more melee battles, so when you get in that Pathfinder boxing ring, you'll be able to beat your opponents. Obviously, your reactions and how fast you can click the melee button do matter, but I still think there are some other important tips that you can think about. Firstly, movement is really important in melee fights. So the key thing is to keep moving, don't stand still while meleeing. Jump kicks and uppercuts are best for this because they're the most mobile moves, so they allow you to be just a little bit more mobile than just with a standard punch. Also try to combine the melee attacks you use, don't just kick all the time and don't just punch all the time, try and mix it up. The idea is that you want to keep your opponent guessing and keep your opponent on their toes, kind of like a real boxing match, and if you just keep standing there and punching, they'll probably win. Whereas if you keep moving and mixing up which melee type attacks you do, you've got a better chance of winning. Another useful tip is to actually not use the same melee attack as your opponent, and I find this tip tends to be really effective. You do have to try and judge which attack your opponent is going to use. For example, if they look like they're going to punch you, then do a jump kick. If they look like they're going to do a jump kick, try an uppercut. And I found by switching up and doing different attacks to what your opponent is using, you're actually more likely to connect with your hits, and also at the same time avoid their hit. My 4th tip is, try to score the first hit. I know it's easier said than done, but I say this because you don't have to be the one that jumps in to punch first. It's all about getting that first hit, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're the one that needs to strike first. You can actually move around, let your opponent miss, and then punch, or jump kick, or uppercut. And if you score the first hit, like I said, it's anywhere between 4 and 9 punches that you'll need depending on the armor, so this puts you in a really great position because you're already one up on your opponent. Tip 5 is to combine sliding with uppercuts and kicks. You can actually slide and do an uppercut as you slide towards your opponent. This makes it much faster and also helps you avoid your opponent's punches. It also works for kicks as well. It's a little bit harder to do with kicks, but you can definitely slide and kick and slide and uppercut, and it's really effective in combining movement with attack, and this can definitely make it harder for your opponents to punch you while you're still scoring damage points. And that's it, just some simple tips there and a bit of analysis on how to win more melee battles, and this should definitely help you with the upcoming Pathfinders Town Takeover, where we've got an awesome boxing ring, so I'm certain you'll be having more of these melee fights in your games in Apex Legends. I hope these tips were useful. We can definitely go try these out on stream on Saturday and check out the new Pathfinder Town Takeover. Keep a lookout on my other videos coming, where I'll look at Pathfinder's Town Takeover and the new game mode in more detail. For now though, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.